Eric and I had been together for a little over 6 years, and when we got together, having a family was one of the things we wanted to do. When we actually started, it probably took us about 2 years before we had Trent, who is now 3. And he kind of lulled us into a false sense of security because he was such a good baby. We kind of were like high-fiving each other like, wow, we're really good at this. Let's go back to
That has since been corrected.
So we started back down the process, and we're blessed with twin girls. Primarily the reason we went through a surrogacy process as opposed to an adoption process because it's more difficult for a gay family to adopt. Some states don't allow it. Certainly many countries don't allow it. And I guess we were just at that particular time in a financial position where we could do it without all the scrutiny that you might have as a gay couple. We were fortunate to be able to use the same egg donor for all our children. And then we were matched with our surrogate, Amber, after about a year of trying and not having much success.
They do all the matching for you at the agency, and you do a meeting, and then, if you both hit it off, you're matched.
And they sent us the profile of Joe and Eric, and I called my husband and said, oh, you have to read this profile. I think this is it. And we met about a week later.
And it was just like a match made in heaven on paper.
It was.
And it was even better when we actually met.
I'd always been told by my doctors that I'd be a great candidate to be a surrogate if I ever wanted to. 6 months after our first daughter was born, we conceived again, and then we ended up having a third child. And I kind of discussed it and decided that's something I wanted to do. I wanted to have another pregnancy, but I didn't really want any children.
We never actually met her. It was all profile driven. And at our agency, you see a video interview of them plus a medical history as best they know it. And you get SAT scores if they have them, college grade point average or high school grade point averages. So you can get a gauge on the, their educational levels. Eric accused me of picking women that I would date, which was out of the question, but it's hard not to when you're looking at profiles of just photographs.
I was more insistent that in their profile that they knew how to spell and that they spelled business school correctly. That was important to me. So.
The technology hasn't gotten to the place where, two men can be biologically related to the same child. Since we've had babies, so much of that is so much less important because you just adore your babies that I realize that now that, adoption or anything like that is just really such a wonderful alternative because once they're in the house, it just all of that seems to melt away. And we don't technically know the biology of our children, but it's so unimportant to us. It's more important to people around us than it is because people ask that question a lot and we always say, well, we don't know, but we really don't care. I think people recognize the dynamics of our family when they see us. And we do tend to feel like we get treated just slightly better than the average patron when people recognize the uniqueness or the modern family that we are. So that part is good. The only thing that they do that's irritating is they think that I'm the grandfather and he's the father and where's the mother?
You really need to go with a reputable agency because they're going to steer you towards the reputable fertility doctors and all that.
That you have to be a little bit patient because there are just things that take time. We had several failed transfers and the anxiety behind that is great. So you just have to have a mechanism in order to be patient. Always stay on top of all the things that are happening. Don't kind of just rely on an agency to sort of manage all the things. Make sure that you understand what's being described to you very clearly.
We had a pre-birth order before the girls were born saying that Joe and I were to be put on the birth certificate so that there were no paternity issues after the birth. All of that stuff is ironed out.
Some of the process was very difficult and very heart-wrenching and all those things. We don't even think about it anymore. It's just not a thought. We just are so much enjoying the opportunity to have a family that we probably never thought we would have.